Welcome to the Ideal Investor Show. This is the podcast where we help you challenge your mindset and discover where you are. Tired of stories about other people's success? We can help you change your life, determine your time freedom point, and join us on the journey to financial success. Let's go. Hey, welcome back to the Ideal Investor Show. I'm kind of glad that I have a little bit of time to talk to you about something that I should probably emphasize a little more, but I haven't recently. And sometimes I wonder, or I'm in my mind, I'm thinking, this stuff is sometimes obvious, but what's obvious to me might not necessarily be very obvious to others. And so a good friend and fellow podcast host, his name is Dustin Heiner, and he was twice a guest on our show, kind of reminded me, I saw his newsletter. I'm always reading other people's newsletters to see what their perspective is. And he was talking about off-market properties. And so I wanted to kind of take him up on this and also make you as frequent listeners, or even if you're here for the first time, aware of that. And oh, by the way, whether frequent or here for the first time, I would love to invite you to go to idealinvestorshow.com and find the button that says book a call. And so we can get in touch and we can have a conversation and we can see if I can help you with your investment needs and how you can make your money and other people's money work for you. But back to the point that Dustin brought up about properties and off-market properties versus on-market. So the market, at least in our area, when we're talking about residential real estate, meaning like single-family homes, duplex, triplex, fourplex, which is kind of our niche that we are operating in, the market is basically considered all the properties that are listed on the multiple listing service, or also called MLS. And if you say, well, I've never or really don't know what MLS does, be aware that all these platforms, Realtor.com, Zillow, Redfin, and Roofstock, and whatever the names are, they all pull electronically data from the multiple listing service where real estate agents and people who have a license can post properties available for sale and available for rent. And so when you see these postings on those platforms, those come from the MLS, and that's considered the market. And when Dustin and I speak about off-market, what we're meaning is properties that are not currently posted for sale or for rent on these platforms or on the MLS. And the big benefit for you guys is, number one, that you don't really have to work with a real estate agent if you work with us and our partners, right? So we're basically saving ourselves 6% of agent fees, which normally would happen between the seller's agents and the buyer's agent. The other thing is, obviously, these are networks that have developed over time where, like, for example, us as Ideal Wealth Growers, we are connected to a number of different turnkey providers. And these turnkey providers are constantly having properties coming to them either because they renovate them themselves, or people who do renovations offer those finished properties to them for sale. And the turnkey operators want to have ideally found the property, renovate it themselves, sell it to us, and then also manage it for us so that they can make money basically once on the sale and then continuously for the management. And how do you guys actually get access and information about these properties other than going to the website and book a call, like I said earlier, and have a conversation with you? And I wanted to point this out to you. So one thing that we do every Friday is we're publishing a newsletter. And if you become a subscriber to our Substack, which is idealwealthgrower.com, if you go on substack.com and type in Ideal Wealth Grower, you will find our publication there. And every Friday, we publish a newsletter that shows you which are the current properties that we have received from our turnkey providers. And those are almost always off-market properties. When we are working directly with any one of you or any one of you who has become a mentoring client, then we have even more properties on spreadsheets that are made available by turnkey providers to our community so that we know what they have in their inventory for sale. And again, those properties don't show up on the regular market. Then we also have direct partners. I have a few relationships with some people who basically specialize in flipping, the kind of stuff that you see on HGTV, where there are certain people who basically constantly go out in certain areas, find properties that need renovation, buy them, renovate them, and then sell them again. And their whole business is making a living off the difference between what they paid and put into the renovation and what they can sell them for. So that's really the different ways on how we get access to these kinds of properties. And they really have a wide range. Now, number one is always performance. And I would never offer you anything on the newsletter or in our mentoring sessions where I don't think, at least when we run the due diligence, the property is performing well and to our standards or better. But assuming that they have the performance, then we also want to look at all the other criteria and really work our way through. So what you see when you work with us or when you read our newsletter, these properties are vetted properties. And I'm happy to help you to get into these properties around and away from all the stuff that's on the market, which, depending on where you look right now, it has obviously different from location to location. But there are now properties that have been on Zillow, for example, for 100 and 150 and 200 days. And typically when you see that a property is on the market for a longer period of time, they typically have problems. Either something is wrong with the property or they don't perform. Well, you don't even have to go there, because if you work with us directly, at least reading our newsletter regularly, subscribing to Substack, and then if you see something interesting, you can contact me, right? And book a call and have a conversation and say, hey, I saw this property, the second one from the top on your newsletter, I would really be interested in. I help you. And even if you're not a mentoring client, obviously we want to help you to do your investments, whether you like the full package mentoring program or you're just interested in particular properties. So I wanted you to be aware that what we have, what we offer, what you see from us in any of the vetted properties, those are all properties that you won't find on the market. Now, one last thing real quick. If you take any address of these properties and type it into Zillow or Redfin or these platforms, obviously the addresses exist because those are real properties. But what you typically find on these platforms is some listing from like 5 years ago, 8 years ago, 10 years ago, when this property was last time officially sold through a real estate agent. But you won't find the current information. You only get that from us directly. So I wanted to clarify that and make you aware. And obviously, I'm pretty proud of these relationships that we have so that we can give you the best deals, even in these higher interest rate environments. I hope that was informative and educational for you. Be well and stay safe, and I talk to you tomorrow.